Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. So this video you're about to watch highlights the process of one of these rims being repaired from the rust that calcium will cause. So for those of you who don't know, calcium has been used as a liquid ballast in tires for very many years. Essentially, it's a heavy liquid ballast that doesn't freeze. It weighs roughly 11 pounds per gallon, and this 18.4 by 30 tire holds 90 gallons worth of it. That's close to 1,000 pounds of ballast in each tire. So 2,000 pounds worth of ballast. You compare that to the price of steel, it's a no-brainer. This is the way to go. The only problem is calcium is very corrosive when it comes in contact with metal. So the things that rust first are these little valve stems. These little valve stems are called TR218. And there's supposed to be a Schrader valve in the middle of that, which is missing, and that's essentially corroded. So the only thing that's stopping the calcium from coming out was that little plastic cover that was on the end that you undo when you check the air pressure. So as a result, calcium was leaking on these rims, and it made a nice little rust hole around the valve stem. So we got to fix that, but we also got to drain the calcium out of the tires that's in there now. So I came up with this little device. This is a clip-on tire fill, and I attached it to a 20-foot length of just regular 3/8 clear water line. And what we're going to do is we're going to strap that to the valve stem, or what's left of it. I'm just going to put that underneath the garage door and let her go. It won't hurt anything outside. Calcium is pretty useless. It's not worth saving. Can't really do anything with it. So essentially that's where the video picks up. Is I've got the truck with a tire in the back of it. It's already loaded in here at the house. The video picks up at the shop and we're going to unload it, start to break the beads down, get it in the shop. So sorry about the long video. It is lengthy, so fast forward through the parts you don't want to see, but hope you like it. all that rust. Man. Jeez. So I had to flip the tire upside down so that I can take the rim from the tire, essentially, instead of trying to do it the other way around. Look at this. This is what I come up with to hold one of these tire spoons, because I'm doing this by myself. I just took a hammer, and I duct taped the tire spoon to the hammer, and that's a third hand right there. Works good. This is the worst part of this process, is taking the rim out of the tire. This final step. But it'll be alright. I'll get it. We'll go from there. So this is the patch that was removed from that rim. As you can see, it gets real thin in the center of this rim, where it was closest to the calcium. So let's just take a look at this right here. This is some pretty substantial metal, and we're looking at about 190 thousandths. Measures, you know, about 190 thousandths. So 3/16 is 187 thousandths. So that's what we're going to use, 3/16. We're going to cut out some scrap that I got laying around. That should do perfect. So here's what I did for patterns. I traced a pattern to this radius, and this is going to extend all the way around the rim. So this does not fit here. It's close, but it's not the same. So I made this separate pattern, which fits the inner radius of the rim. As a result, I have two separate bends to make for these patch panels that are going to fit here and here. Alright guys, so here we are at the press. What I'm doing is I'm making patch panels for the rim. I got to make two curved patch panels, and here's one that I've been working on. And it's kind of crude, but this is how I made the bend on the metal. Now this is 3/16 plate. This is stuff I had kicking around that I'm going to reuse. So what I did is I made a die here, just threw some pieces together that I had laying around. I used a piece of channel iron, and I essentially used the press. I'd move this, and I'd press, and I'd move this over and over until I had a nice arch that I wanted. Now what I did, I went ahead and I made two templates. Obviously there's two different patterns that the rim needs. One, this one here is where the bead will sit on the tire, and this one is where the tube will sit on the rim. So this is one that I've got finished already. It's not perfect, but it works pretty darn well for, you know, for what it is. It's pretty heavy stuff. You can't really use a sheet metal roller. It's 3/16 metal. It's pretty heavy, substantial stuff. So this is what I did. I used this pattern. Essentially just bent that until I got to the point where I was happy with it. And then I'll use this on the rim along with this one. It's not quite done yet, so that I can weld those in. Getting these patches welded in. This patch was pretty straightforward. This one was really tricky. So what I didn't plan on was that this surface here is slanted towards the center. And that's the same on both sides, but it was real tricky because I had to cut this straight to get it to fit the rim so that this gap would be even. So I'd use my trusty bandsaw in the vertical position to cut that out. Here's a better shot of that piece. So the rim is all welded now. Took me about an hour. Quite time consuming. And this here, I ended up making this little piece out of just some leftovers that I had. I drilled the hole out for the valve stem. Nothing really crazy there, but I did put it at an angle so that it mimicked the old rim. So any welders out there might look at this and think, oh man, that's not too great, but it'll hold, and the metal I was working with wasn't perfect. So all in all, it's a good patch. Both sides are welded. I'm gonna have to grind the inside of the rim where the tube is gonna ride so that it's nice and smooth. I was using a Lincoln 135. This was a pretty good machine for this job, so all in all, I think it turned out pretty good. After quite a bit of grinding, this is what the finished patch on the inside of the rim looks like. Now I ground it all smooth because I didn't want the tube to get punctured by the rough weld. And I'm going to leave the underside just as it is. I don't really care if I see the welds from the outside. That's not going to hurt my feelings in the least. So there it is. Now I just got to wire brush the whole rim, get rid of this rust, and put some primer to it. So here's my multicolor rim. So the green is self-etching primer. I use that because I figured that might have the best chance of sticking to the rusty rim. I did wire brush it down with an angle grinder, and I also used sandpaper to get it as clean as I could. So I put the green self-etching primer down, and then I'm covering it with this gray primer just so the Ford gray paint that I have won't take so much to cover the green. So next up, Ford paint. Well, Ford color paint. Got the finishing touches on the rim. Supposedly down at the Ford garage, this is the paint to use for this particular tractor. I reduce it a little bit with paint thinner and it brushes on very nice. This is the patch. It looks pretty decent. Let that dry and get the tire mounted back on. Move on from this project. So after double or triple checking the way this tire is going to go on this rim, I think I'm ready to start putting this thing on. This is just Dawn dish soap and water.
Indoors at the Augusta Civic Center next Thursday and Friday from 9 till 3. You've got nothing to lose, everything you can. Bring a friend along and maybe you'll be with a job offer. Go to DynaHoeCareers.com and text DIW to 78000.
It's up to you to get the facts about vaping. I wish I had.
I thought vaping would help with stress, but now my anxiety is way worse.
I could really focus. Vaping was 100% controlling me.
Peer pressure
to you by the Marine Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, this is Elliot from Florida. You know, thanks for doing this so much that sometimes you might not even notice. I'll say it now. Thanks. There's a program called Coats for Kids that distributes winter coats for needy children, teens, adults, and even babies.
So after double and triple checking the direction of this tire on this rim, I'm ready to start putting the tube in the tire. It was a bear to get the first bead started, so I didn't really show that on camera, but here it is. I'm using floor jacks to hold the tire up so I have enough room to get the tube in and around the rim. So we'll get that tackled next. I just put a zip tie around the valve stem so that this thing does get lost. At least I can pull it back out of the rim with the valve stem attached to the zip tie. My goodness. It's stretchy. Trying to get the tube as far down on the rim as possible so you don't puncture the tube with a tire spoon when you're mounting this top bead of the tire. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to push the tube down as far as it will go so I don't pinch it with these tire spoons, because that's a bad day. Getting this bead under this second lip on the rim. That'll help this spoon on easier. So I gotta be careful. That tube under here, I don't want to pinch that.
Poor Dawn is, wow, you got that far, huh? Yeah, let me hold on a minute. You almost done.
Gotta get a hand. Big chunk.
There you go.
Whew. Amazing how much air that tube will hold.
Well, it probably holds as much air as that compressor tank holds.
80 gallons. Probably more. They claim to fill the tire it's about 90 gallons. Just don't want to over pressurize the tube. Here we are loading the tire up, gonna take it home, put it on the tractor. So I'm trying to unload this tire. Can't get the old David Brown started. It's too cold. Just doesn't want to crank over. I don't really want to mess with it too much. So I'm just gonna do this the old way, I guess, and drag it out by hand and see if I can't get it into the open shop. See what happens. Not bad. Got the rim all on the tractor. Now, just got to get my bolts in. Get that all done and I'll be done with rear tire problems for a little while. Till I get a flat or something. But for now, it's good. It's a lot of work. Don't recommend doing this. I would just buy a brand new rim, but cheapest I found these rims were $450 a piece. So it's definitely worth fixing them, at least to me, because I'm not really making money with this tractor. If I was needing the tractor, I couldn't afford the downtime, then new rims would definitely be the way to go. But this is just what I enjoy doing, so I made it work.